Hey, let's get into it. I want to listen to Lovie Smith, including going forward on fourth down with a botched play, the two-headed quarterback monster, and a whole lot of other things. Here is Lovie getting a question about that fourth down play.
That final decision on that run, what happened there with Jeff? Did he read it wrong?
Yeah, we just didn't execute. We just didn't execute the way we need to.
How was the play supposed to work ideally on fourth? What was kind of the call?
Yeah, I mean it was a play to get out on the edge, and they had more bodies out there than maybe we wanted, and it was fourth down. I tried to put my foot in the ground and get vertical, and they beat us on that snap.
On Sunday night, right after the game, I actually broke this play down on KHOU Sports Extra every Sunday night around 10:30. But there's even more wrong with it than I encapsulated here. But there's too much to talk about. You would get bored to death counting up all the errors that may or may not have been made. Suffice it to say, it was a train wreck. Here are at least two issues with it. I mean, believe me, I would love to be able to just point out one issue with some of these plays. It would be a lot less drawing for me. But here on this play, you've got 4 yellow arrows of guys blocking in the proper direction. That would allow Jeff Driskel and Rex Burkhead to run their sprint option off in the direction of the red arrows. The problem is you've got a first-round rookie guard pointing in the direction of his own personal red arrow. You got Jeff Driskel going in the exact opposite direction that the blocking would suggest. There was some kind of miscommunication here. It leaves number 91 to come scot-free. Driscoll's lucky he reversed his course quickly enough. He would have gotten brained. But these are the miscommunications, the errors, the things that happen when guys are not clear on exactly what's going on. That falls on the offensive coordinator, obviously on the quarterbacks, and yes, on the offensive line. The team needs to get better in a lot of ways. We all know that. We can just only hope that it happens sooner than later, and it's going to happen with people different than they have now. I'll point out a few more things tomorrow when my old teammate Drew Hodgson is on with me. Go ahead and subscribe so you get those notifications and the videos delivered. Back to Lovie.
Jalen Pitre today.
Ask about the play of Jalen Pitre.
I think we've been saying the same thing about him lately. Made the move with him back in the middle of the field and paying dividends. He's a good player. That seemed like it's his natural position. He was active, tackling, playing the ball, like all of the guys were today.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jalen Pitre has really come a long way in the last few weeks. And when he talks about Jalen Pitre playing safety and that being his natural position, it's interesting because at college, at Baylor, that wasn't his natural position. But I think it's the Big 12 and the size difference isn't as much of a hindrance to Jalen Pitre in college at Baylor as it would be in the NFL. And I don't think he's built to be a guy that plays in the box and around the line of scrimmage all the time. I think when you've got a high football IQ guy like Jalen Pitre, as he starts to understand and learn the angles, and I think that's been a big issue with his tackling at times, is that he's just adjusting to the closing speed of coming from deep up on a skill position player in the NFL and having to break down and tackle. You could see, as he was in this game, he's really, really good at tackling the catch. And he hits clean. We saw that from a few guys on Sunday. Nice, clean, legal hits that jar the ball out. Now it's just a matter of really refining everything. I think Petry's starting to get a better feel for reading the eyes of the quarterback and how much you're able to do that when you have that deep position. I would love to see it in a more aggressive defense. It's something a little bit more creative. Guys like Rex Ryan that have done an incredible job of getting the absolute most out of safeties like that. That's what you hope to see moving forward.
Where we are, we haven't gotten a whole lot of production offensively. And you look at your roster. Jeff has been there. And really, as we go back and look at it a little bit, he did some good things in the preseason early on. That plan kind of got us out of it a little bit when we couldn't elevate him and some things like that. But he's always been there. And as you see, we most productive day we've had offensively. I know what the point said, but felt like we could move the ball and mix in, combination of the two.
The combo worked out pretty well. I was not lying to you during training camps when I was telling you that Jeff Driskel was not throwing the ball well. Last year, the Texans moved him to tight end. Just remember that. This is just not my lone opinion. Jeff Driskel, he changed positions instead of staying at quarterback last year. I think that yesterday we did see some really nice passes. I'd like to know how consistently he's going to be able to do that. When you only have a guy throw the ball 5 or 6 times, there's a reason for that. Jeff Driskel's legs are far more menacing than his arm. Now, maybe he's made some changes. Maybe he's figured something out mechanically. Maybe he went and worked with a throwing coach in the offseason to change things for him. Like on the baseball side of things, J.D. Martinez was a guy who was a fringe MLB hitter for the Astros, went to a different swing coach in the offseason one year and just started tearing up winter ball, ends up going to Boston, and he's one of the best DHs in the league after that. So it's possible. It's 100% possible. But I think that right now it's a matter of having Jeff Driskel and the threat that he presents with his legs. We see the read option has to be respected, not like last week with Kyle Allen. Defenses are going to have to respect Jeff Driskel. The only issue that I see moving forward is you lose the benefit of that ambush effect, and teams are going to understand, okay, we got to spend some extra time on the read option this week. We gotta perhaps have a different set of play calls on our placard for when Jeff Driskel's in the game, and it's not going to be just a one-off trick play here or there. But hopefully, Pep Hamilton can adjust to that too, because I enjoyed the juice that it provided.
Was it a struggle at all, I guess, in the decision, or were you going that way the whole time?
No struggle. No.
Was it a struggle to make the decision to go for it on 4th down?
No struggle on the decision at all. We're up at 3. We were going to go for the touchdown or lead them in a situation where, they're going for 3 to tie it. And hopefully we wouldn't allow them to score a touchdown. So no decision to make that 100 out of 100 times. We didn't execute the way we needed to at the end.
I don't know about 100 out of 100. I was A-okay with the decision, especially given the weaknesses the Texans defense has had. That was a long 4th and goal. In my mind, it had been less than 3 yards when, in fact, that felt like a long 3 yards to go in rewatching it. So I'm not so sure about that. I think ultimately, obviously, the Cowboys scored a touchdown, and there you go. But butterfly effect and whatnot, who knows?
From a strategy standpoint, if you're a defensive coach, how challenging would that be if you don't know which quarterback's going to be going in from series to series?
Well, I think it can be challenging because, I'm talking about us. We've gone through some different things on, me letting you know exactly who the quarterback's going to be on, 30 minutes after the game and some of those things, but.
So, when he references we've gone through some things, letting you know who's going to be quarterback 30 minutes after the game, he's not a big fan of that. I do think I'll credit Lovie Smith for keeping the Jeff Driskel experiment quiet. And I think it was a bit of an ambush. I think that the Cowboys didn't look 100% prepared to genuinely defend the zone read. If Davis Mills is in there and he's trying to pretend it's bootleg or something, then it's kind of easy to figure out. Or you can cheat more as a defensive end. With Driskel, they got to play it a lot more honest. Oh, and as far as the preparation during the week, yeah, it matters. And I think it matters for the coaches, too. I think when you start talking about potentially having 2 separate game plans, that's just more things that can go wrong. It's more wrenches you can throw into the gears. So, again, with this team, the old saying is if you've got 2 quarterbacks, you've got none. I would reply to that, sure, yeah. And that's the situation the Texans are in right now. They got to manage it the best they can. Don't run away from the fact that, yeah, you've got issues at quarterback.
When Pierce went out, it looked like you guys were talking with him, at least with the trainers and such. Towards the end, was there any conversations from him, like trying to get back in? I mean, how do you process that on the side?
No, it's pretty simple. I mean, a guy's injured. Medical staff, can he go? Yes or no? Earlier, when he came out, it was yes, we think he can go. You get a sprained ankle, a lot of times you think you can. Then you get out there and you see that you just can't push off with the ankle and you're hurting the team. That's the situation we're in there at the end. Couldn't go, and we'll never play a player if he can't, of course, protect himself and feel like he can do his best.
Yeah, that's always interesting is the player that wants to go back in and he's trying to prove to the trainers that he can go back in, and you can watch the trainers' faces and kind of be like that. It's tough when you're that player and you're trying to show that you can move just fine, because then all of a sudden you become like an FBI body language analyst. You're trying to see what the coaches are thinking and what the trainers are thinking. I remember after coming off of an ACL and being a free agent, going out to work out for a team, and then you're really trying to analyze what the trainers are thinking and what the coaches are thinking as they're watching you, and they're trying to give their poker faces because of agents involved. If they look like they're excited, who knows? But it's I think the trainers get pretty good at figuring out, oh wow, he's really favoring this, and it's not worth it. You need him hopefully for the rest of the season. With Damian, if it's enough of an ankle sprain to limit him where he can still be effective, but they got to be careful with him and he doesn't subject himself to too much harm, then he's good to go in 2023.
At the end, I didn't see the replay, but with Chris Moore, when I guess they called him short of the goal line. Did y'all consider challenging that? Or did it
Yes on all of them.
So with Chris Moore, did he consider challenging? And this is the play they're talking about.
If it's close, we have people upstairs looking at every different look. And a lot of them, I think one of the ones there today was a change of possessions where, even though I'm not challenging it, yes, Lovie, New York, we've seen it. This is what it is.
Yeah.
If we don't know for sure, we'll challenge. If we're not challenging something that's pretty close, there's a good reason that we're not.
Yeah, so I don't know on that one. I don't know what the good reason is. They've got the TV copy up there just like we do at home, and maybe from their vantage point, wherever they were in the stadium, they had eyes on that I thought it was uncertain enough. They had 3 timeouts left at that point. They had a plethora of timeouts. They used one the next down, and that wasn't what lost them the game.
What are the chances that you'll continue to bring the 2-quarterback system as the season progresses?
DJ, come on, man.
DJ Bieneme from ESPN asked, what are the chances that you're going to keep using the 2-quarterback situation? And Lovie handled this pretty well.
Come on, man. All right, this is what we're going to do. You probably know the answer, right? You can ask it and you can answer it. It's about 30 minutes after the game. If y'all expect me to give these kind of answers right now, we're going to evaluate it. We like what we're able to do with it today. We'll see what gives us the best option to give us a chance to beat Kansas City, another team that has a chance to win it all. We're excited about coming back home and playing. Thank you.
There's not a chance in hell they don't use the 2-quarterback system, and I'll put my reputation on it. I don't know what that means. Okay, so I'm putting my reputation on it. I don't know what the comeuppance is if I'm proven wrong. But the only issue is you're only allowed to elevate a guy from the practice squad, I think, 3 times in a season. This was effective. This was the best offensive production the Texans have had in a while, and I think it would be asinine not to do this again. Plus, I think that Davis Mills may have responded to it. I think there's something about being out there as part of a team effort, but also being kind of in direct competition with a guy that is going to increase the urgency, maybe to pull the trigger, maybe to play with your gut a little bit more. And there comes a point sometimes where you just gotta say, screw it. I'm just gonna go out there. And he forced some tight window throws out there today, a couple which might have been risky, but it was nice to see because they came out on time and in rhythm. And even if just for the development, it's funny. Usually we talk about not wanting to hurt a guy's confidence, so don't rotate him. Just let it be his team. All right, I don't know of anything that might destroy a guy's confidence more than if it is his entire team and he crashes the team into a wall. So I like this for right now for these Houston Texans. And here's Davis Mills himself, by the way.
Davis, I'm not sure that I've seen in an NFL game quarterbacks rotate that much. I mean, this is a good way. It's almost more like a high school game or a college game. How unique was that for you and what you guys were able to do? Because in a lot of ways, they didn't seem prepared for it. It took them a while to answer. I mean, you guys were able to be more successful offensively in a lot of ways than you have been all season with that 1-2 system.
Yeah, exactly. The philosophy is just keep mixing up the looks. And then, the same thing when you simplify it, it's just trying to find ways to get the ball to playmakers out in space. And Jeff did that in zone read situations, and it kind of opens a bunch of things up when you keep the defense guessing like that. We were moving the ball all day, so.
I think that's the last I'd say about the 2-quarterback situation at this point is that now that teams have seen what the Texans are capable of doing and what Jeff Driskel's capable of doing, they will put it on Jeff Driskel to try to create more of a pocket situation. They're going to force him to be a pocket quarterback, and they can jet upfield and keep the bootleg from happening. And if you're not able to run the ball versus those looks, then it can get ugly for Jeff Driskel. I like it. They have to keep building on it. I think Davis Mills responded to it well. And ultimately, even though I hope the Texans draft a quarterback, anything that can help Davis Mills develop and perhaps become either, a backup quarterback that develops into something else and surprises you after the Texans draft pick is a bust perhaps, or if he becomes a tradable piece somewhere else. I think those things are all in play right now. And you've got 4 more games to get something a bit more out of Davis Mills. So I'm all for it. I think that the Texans have to clean up a whole lot of other stuff. Saw some good things out of Kenyon Green. Saw some really bad things out of Kenyon Green. Jalen Pitre and some of the defensive backs are coming along nicely. I'm going to do this again with Drew Hodgson, my old Texans teammate, tomorrow. Please subscribe, watch tomorrow. We'll probably live stream that, and Drew can explain some of the offensive line play. And he does it in a really relatable way. Good dude, Drew Hodgson, tomorrow.